The global mushroom industry is predicted to reach 3.78 lakh crores in the next 7 years, owing to an increase in the mushroom consumption for a variety of purposes. The major producers of good quality and variety mushrooms are the United States, Italy, China, and the Netherlands. India and several other developing countries are pursuing mushroom cultivation and farming as a means of sustaining small-scale companies. Welcome to Freedom App's YouTube channel. I am your host and host Akshaya, and today I'll be teaching you how to start a mushroom farming business in India. Mushrooms are significant not only as a food source but also have therapeutic properties. Exports of mushrooms are gradually increasing as a result of high-level demand elsewhere. We'll show you how you can establish a mushroom farming business in this video. Choosing the right location. Mushroom production does not necessitate a large amount of area. In a 20 by 20 feet room, you can get a unit and generate roughly 50 kg of mushrooms every week. It's a low cost, small business that can start making money in as little as a few weeks. You can also rent a tiny building as your company grows. Gaining of experience is very important in mushroom farming as it necessitates a certain amount of research and practice. As the saying goes, practice makes a man and a woman perfect. You should practice the art of growing mushrooms. You must study the science and technology of mushroom cultivation. There are numerous online courses that you can choose from, right? The next thing is spawn collection. So what is spawn collection? You must obtain mushroom spawn. So these are called as eggs. Well, you must be surprised, right? Eggs are only given out or laid by birds and non-mammals, but the spawn of mushroom is also called as eggs. So you can get the spawn from local markets. You can also use a sterile culture to create your own spawn. In the long run, this will be less expensive. Next one, requirement of raw materials. So you can use disposable plastic sacks or buckets with holes on the edges to enable the mushroom to sprout and grow into fungi. You will need to purchase the substrate, which could be anything like a straw or wood chips, etc, etc, etc. So now since your whole setup is ready, what is the food for mushrooms? Mushroom farming is part of a circular economy in which waste items also can be used to generate revenue. Yeah, you heard it right. Waste items also can be used to grow mushrooms, because you know that mushrooms grow in very remote areas, in forests, in dirty places also. So even raw materials and waste materials can be used to generate revenue by growing mushroom. Growing media or substrate for mushrooms is a byproduct of grain and legume production. Mushroom farms typically grow mushrooms on sawdust or wood pellets. You will need organic softwood, fuel pellets, wood chips, and soy hulls to build the substrate that mushrooms prefer. Then, in a biodegradable bag, combine these two ingredients and add water to achieve the desired moisture content, because the correct amount and the adequate amount of moisture is very essential for a mushroom to sprout properly. Mushroom growing process. Mushrooms can be grown both indoors as well as outdoors. I'll be telling you about indoor cultivation. Indoor growing necessitates some forethought, technical expertise, and financial investment, because you need a certain amount of area. You need to maintain the climatic conditions inside. To kill any germs or mold, you have to place the growth media in a sterilizer, which can be a large drum. You have to allow the substrate to sterilize for 20 whole hours. The heated substrate must then be cooled to ambient temperature, approximately around 95 degrees Celsius, which can take several days. The flow hood is a blower that circulates air through a HEPA, that is high efficiency particulate air. So in that small enclosure, you need to make sure that you have a blower that can blow in air that is very rich in moisture, which is rich in that nutrients that the mushroom needs. So this is called as a HEPA, that is a high efficiency particulate air, right? It can be used to remove any contaminants from the air in the bags, because any small error happens, your mushroom yield will not be as good as it is supposed to be, and then the buyers might reject your mushroom supply. To use the flow hood, you have to turn it on and leave it on for around 30 minutes, right? And then you must place scoops of mushroom into the sterile substrate bags. So you remember the plastic bags, then you layer the hay and then put the eggs in it, and then you have to pass air through it after making holes, which will enable the bag to get all the necessary moisture, and then all the nutrients also will pass through the bag. After all of these procedures complete, the bags will be ready to produce high quality mushrooms in about 2 weeks. The bags must be moved to an incubation room. Incubation room, just as we know, it is a room which has certain temperature conditions. At times, you must keep the temperature in this room between 21 and 22 degrees Celsius. So this is the temperature that allows the mycelium. So mycelium is the bacteria, or this temperature allows the air to travel through the substrate and begin to consume it properly, because of which mushroom growth will happen really nicely. There is something called as a mycelium that develops inside the bags. So as you pass this rich air, this air which has all the moisture and maintain the temperature, the mycelium will start to colonize the bags, and slowly you will start to see that your bags are turning white. So you shouldn't be surprised. This is actually the right way that your mushrooms are growing. In approximately 2 weeks, the bags will turn completely white. After that, the bags must then be moved from an inoculation room or the incubation room into a fruiting chamber. The following 4 items must be present in this fruiting chamber. Number 1, a temperature that falls within a specific range. The humidity level should be really high. There have to be lights with a specific specific wavelength. We know that plants react differently to different kinds of light, right? A sunflower turns towards the sun due to certain kinds of radiations in the sunlight. Similarly, plants and different kinds of organisms react differently to different lights of specific wavelength. So you need light with a specific wavelength. Number 3, carbon dioxide levels should be maintained really low. Each bag's face must be pierced with a small hole, because of which it allows the mycelium, just like I told you before, and the substrate, that is the white part, to be exposed to fresh air and humidity. After that, the mushroom will begin to expand, and then you'll get a really good bouquet of fresh mushrooms sprouting out from each hole that you would have pierced in the bag. So after that, it's harvest season. There is another method called as log culture, but I will not be explaining the same because it is quite complicated. Log culture is another method of growing the mushrooms, but this I'll be teaching in another video. Now I'll be telling you about the types of mushroom that has to be chosen. Since we all eat a lot of mushroom biryanis in Namma Bengaluru and different parts of India, mushrooms can come in different sizes and shapes. Different species of mushroom have been, existing from a long period of time, and different mushrooms have different prices. So you'll need to figure out which one best matches your budget. Mushrooms are classified as follows. Number 1, shiitake, lion's mane, and oyster mushroom. So these are examples of wild mushrooms, right? These are profitable and simple to grow as well, and they have quite a few medicinal properties. There are mushrooms with buttons, which are popularly called as button mushroom. Number 3, paddy straw mushroom. So these are the kind of mushrooms that grows in paddy fields. And there are also mushrooms which are really exotic, like pink oyster mushrooms. They have become really popular and widely available in supermarkets and grocery stores also. Proteins, fibers, and minerals are really rich in these kind of mushrooms, and they help you to reduce your aging factor also. Proteins, fibers, and minerals are really rich in them, and mushrooms are not just some random fungi, but also nourish you from within. Handling and care also is something which we must take care of, because in the small mushroom business, handling and climate are very critical. Mushrooms are sensitive to injury. Just observe that you touch the edge of it, it will break, and then there might be a chance that the buyer will reject it. So the property and the mushrooms must be properly handled throughout shipping and display in the retailer. Selling of mushrooms is very important, because once you start growing your mushrooms, you have produced really good mushrooms, but how do you supply to the market? Market is critically undersupplied, to be very honest. In India, there's a big booming market for you to start your mushroom business. So mushroom prices are always high, and a huge number of cultivators, they keep coming in every now and then, but still there will be a scarcity in the number of suppliers. You can load the mushrooms into a vehicle and drive them down to the local marketplace near your area, or you can ask your nearest grocery shop or a hopcoms to take up your produce. You might also start an internet store, right? There are different kinds of mushrooms that you can start your internet store. Morel, king oyster, button mushrooms, black trumpet, cremini, shimeji, matsutake, maitake, hedgehogs. So these are different kinds of mushrooms, and then the list keeps going on and on and on. The button mushrooms are the mushrooms that are very commonly grown in India. Oyster mushrooms are the oyster mushrooms. Oyster mushrooms are the mushrooms that are grown in mother's plains. Straw mushrooms are the mushrooms that are grown in temperatures ranging. Straw mushrooms are those mushrooms which are grown in temperatures ranging from 35 degrees to 45 degrees Celsius. At the end, I'd like to tell you what are the licenses that you'll need to start your business after you know how you have to actually start your mushroom cultivation. Number 1, GST registration. This is very important. Number 2 is FSSAI, that is Food Safety and Security Authorization of India registration. Trade license for mushrooms is also very important, right? These are some of the three licenses that you will need to start your mushroom cultivation. So you can grow mushrooms in acres of land. You can grow them in 20 by 20 feet rooms. You can grow them in 250 square foot spaces. You can expect anywhere from 50 kg to 2500 to 3000 kg of mushrooms also, depending on the area in which you are cultivating it. In India, the popular mushrooms, just like I told you, are oyster mushrooms, and they yield a total of 12 kg per square foot. In total, they yield up to 250. The total yield per 250 square feet of oyster mushrooms is 3000 kg. Button mushrooms, on the other hand, sells for 120 rupees to 150 rupees per kg. If you look at the cost, suppose you have a 250 square feet of oyster mushrooms, you will get anywhere from 2500 to 3000 kg. Button mushrooms, on the other hand, sell anywhere from 120 to 150 rupees per kg if you look at the cost. But then if you want to get over the competition outside, I suggest you price it a little lesser initially, and then if your supply is nice and you get a really nice buyer of your mushrooms, you can increase it. Oyster mushrooms cost anywhere around 150 rupees. right? You also must do a cost and profit analysis of mushroom farming. So I think I have given you detailed information of how you can grow your own mushrooms, what are the different kind of mushrooms, how much you can expect, and what are the different types of techniques that you can implement to market your yield. If you want more information, check out the Freedom app, and there's a course exclusively for mushroom farming, mushroom development, mushroom marketing. Check out the course, and let us know how you felt about the course in the comments. I'll be seeing you in another video. Until then, have a great day. Tada, bye bye, take care. Eat more mushrooms because it is good for your health, and make sure your family also starts eating it. See you in another video. Take care. Akshaya signing off. See you.